Hello everyone, we are Ludeworks. We are the team behind our new board game, Diabolical. I'm Jean-Luc Chappelle. I'm a gameplay designer.
I'm Simon Baumann. I'm also a gameplay designer.
Hi, I'm Michael Engelbrecht, and I'm the visual coordinator.
I'm Nuttall, and I'm the writer. Embrace your darkness, take control of your faction, and conquer the city of Kaishi. Diabolical is a strategy board game made for 4 to 8 players to battle each other out in the city of Kaishi. Players get to choose their faction with a powerful ally in the form of an accomplice. The aim of the game is to gain control of as many districts as possible. Each faction has unique abilities and a unique victory condition which must be met in order to win the game. The collectivists swarm as many districts as possible, spread their ideals, and fight to the death. The cultists sacrifice themselves in order to empower their faction for the greater evil. The sewer rats aim to spread poison throughout the city in order to mercilessly kill off their foes. And the Traders Guild buy their power and allies from other factions in order to enlarge their clan and spread beliefs to the citizens of Kaishi and the other factions. Players must gather influence in order to use powerful abilities which are unique to each faction. There are also important districts which buffs your attacking and defending strength.
Diabolical takes place on a central board in which 4 factions are set up on pre-designated starting locations. The game is played in a clockwise turn order. These turns have multiple phases, and once all these phases are completed and the current player has ended their turn, only then can the next player begin their turn. Players use minions to capture and control neighboring districts. This typically involves the enemy player defending 2 dice and the attacking player using 3. Depending on the role of the dice and certain gameplay effects, either the attacker or defender loses minions in combat. These combat rolls will continue until the attacker or decides to halt their attack, or the defender runs out of minions, allowing the attacker to capture the now empty district. Depending on the number of districts a player controls, the more minions they receive at the start of their turn. Players also receive a static amount of a resource called influence during their turns. Influence can be used to pay for special faction-specific abilities, or the action cards of which they draw an additional one of every turn. Players use their minions, action cards, and abilities to complete their grand schemes, a mission with different requirements depending on their chosen faction. These schemes either win them the game or give them additional benefits, helping them to control the town center for a time victory or for a total domination victory by controlling all the districts. If there are more than 4 players, the additional players will join together with the faction and control a hero type unit. These units have their own special abilities and combat capabilities in order to help them help their faction and win the game. There are also other mechanics such as town center abilities while you control it, baleful cards which have negative effects when drawn, and guards attacking your poorly defended districts. Jean-Luc will delve more into these aspects in his section.
For the visual aspect of the game, we first started to give our players the true feeling of a cartoon-based game, but it felt a bit bland and unoriginal, so we had to spice things up a bit. We decided to give the game more of a mature and realistic sense by giving the steampunk and vintage look to complement the city, background lore, and the characteristics of every faction in Kaishi. For the color scheme, we thought of having dark contrast and medieval colors such as dark red, green, purple, and gold across all the resources, with highlights on them embossing the focus point of every generic and faction resource. Now, let's discuss the design for the tokens. There are quite a few token designs in the world of Diabolical, such as the faction-specific tokens, accomplice tokens, influence tokens, and minion tokens. They all share similarities by them having a faded vintage texture without the rings defining the level of value, a symbol to differentiate the tokens and the roles, and colors depending on the faction type. For the board, we want to make the district stand out more while maintaining seamless gameplay in Diabolical. Certain districts grant bonuses like additional attack and defense bonuses and extra units per turn. Those districts are highlighted with saturated colors for each different bonus. Every faction will have their own spawning point with colors spreading across their origins. The cards were given an outline to highlight the faction's color with a symbol at the very center of every faction card as the front face. As for the back face of the card, it will descriptively define every card with its very own title, description, and cost. The Baleful cards, on the other hand, resembles death and punishment by setting it in an inverted context with graying out colors. As for the box, well, you'd like to see it in its final form right here, it emphasizes a rich and valuable tone with gears, dark spots, golden text, and ancient fonts. I mean, who doesn't want to play this game?
While you might buy a game for its art style or for its concept, it's not necessarily what's going to keep you coming back. What keeps you coming back is how much fun the game is. And in Diabolical, gameplay flavor is through the roof. There are some things that haven't been mentioned yet. Baleful cards can be used to hinder your opponents and stop them from achieving their grand scheme. Baleful cards can do things such as killing their units, forcing them to move away from borders, not allowing them to attack town center, and so much more. Also, taking control of town center will gain you powerful abilities that relate to your faction. The sewer rats will infect more. The collectivists will spread propaganda. The Traders Guild will gain more and more influence. And the cultists, well, they'll just make people start drawing baleful cards. But beware, you aren't the only ones who were in the city. While there is a power vacuum, the guards are still around, and they will be taking back any districts that aren't well defended. The different factions also have their different gameplay types and different win conditions. Collectivists will come in numbers to swarm and storm the city for the people. Taking control of town center and holding it for a prolonged period of time, you will implement your regime and win the game. The cultists don't have an outright win condition, but if they have portals and they control town center, they will be making other players draw baleful cards every single turn, putting you on a timer as you swarm the city with demons. The rats will be spreading their poison to ward off enemies and control zones of the city. Once they've done this and have a certain amount of sewers far apart, they can flood the city with poison and win the game. But don't forget the Traders Guild. They may not be fighting you, but they are slowly building up their wealth and influence within the city. And once they reach a certain point, well, they'll give you an offer that you just can't refuse. Scheme your way to victory. If teamwork is more of your thing, grab a friend to be your accomplice. Each faction has a special accomplice, which that player will control. Accomplices will help set you up and work with you in order to achieve your grand scheme. This game is so much fun. If you don't believe us, come and play it. I'm sure you'll have a great time being evil for once. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation. We've had a lot of fun making this game, and we really hope for your support in the future. We are Ludeworks.
Buy our game!
Woo!
Lekker!